From WLWT, this is Issues.
Hello, welcome to Issues. I'm Jan-Michele Lemon Kearney of Sesh Communications and the Cincinnati Herald. And I'm sorry to say my co-host Tamika Bobo is not here today, but don't worry, she'll be back next week. We have a lot going on today. A little later, we're going to talk about slavery in one aspect is still legal in the United States. So we're going to talk about that and what a group of people are doing about that issue. We also are going to talk about an award-winning journalist, Maria Hinojosa, coming here to talk about immigration. So the Women's City Club is bringing her. We're going to talk to them. First, we're going to talk to one of my absolute favorite people. I've known him since he was really, really little, and it's Reverend Paul Booth Jr. So now he's all grown up and doing such a great job, and he's a dad. And you're doing such a great job. So Legacy Pointe Church.
Yes.
So you're having your 4th annual, and it's called Freedom.
7 Words of Freedom.
7 Words
4th annual
of Freedom.
citywide 7 Words of Freedom at the Freedom Center.
And that's a mouthful. 4th annual citywide 7 Words of Freedom at the Freedom Center. And you're kicking off Holy Week.
Yes. We are so excited. This year we have, as usual, a dynamic lineup. We have Dr. David Palmer of Kenwood Baptist, Damon Lynch Jr., Father Michael Graham from Xavier University. We've got special musical guests, Speak Life, Classical Roots Choir. It's going to be a dynamic celebration this year. Usually we have it on Good Friday, but this year it'll be April 11th at 6:30 p.m. at the Freedom Center, and it's free and open to the public. So
tell us and Curtis Fuller is going to be the MC.
Yes.
So he's always really great. He's almost like a pastor. I can't believe he hasn't been, hasn't gotten that call to the ministry because the way he talks. But so tell us what's going to happen at the Freedom Center April 11th.
April 11th, 6:30 p.m. We have 7 dynamic speakers that are going to share the last words of Christ, but also integrate a word or a thought and idea from a freedom luminary. So it's going to be a very dynamic presentation. It's cross-cultural, it's interdenominational.
I love that part about it.
I had this vision 4 years ago when I came back to Cincinnati, saw that our city was very much divided among racial lines, still very polarized. Though we made a lot of progress as far as economic development, we're still very much divided. And so we hope that the 7 Words of Freedom is a catalyst in our city to really not only get people worshiping together, but also begin to break down some of those walls and barriers. And I can say, Cincinnati, you've come out every single year. We want to fill up the Freedom Center again this year. And we've also got leaders talking as well. There's been so much fruit born out of this. We've got leaders talking, and now congregations are doing things together. And that's what we want to do.
Yeah, so tell us about that, Paul, because right before we went on the air, we were saying how some of the pastors hadn't really seen each other or I guess worked together before.
Absolutely.
And so tell us about that.
So, out of this, we have pastors now doing joint churches together, doing joint projects, service projects together, things in the community together. So we want to create some alignment around that. And so, we don't want to just get together and have a service, but we're hoping that fruit will be born out of that, just like this continues to happen.
Right. So because you came here from Atlanta.
Yes.
And so what was your impression? How did you say, this is something we really need to do?
Well, I grew up in Cincinnati, so I'm a Cincinnati native. Went away to school, and when I came back to Cincinnati,
went to Emory. We should give a shout out to Emory.
Absolutely. Emory University, DePaul University. And so when I came back to Cincinnati, I just saw that there was still very much a lot of division. We made a lot of progress as a city, very progressive, but still at the same time, there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
And still
very much so.
Right.
And so I went to share the vision of this with the director of the Freedom Center, Dr. Newsom, good friend. And he said, let's do it, let's go for it. And so it's been a huge unifying force in our city. It's been dubbed the new tradition in our city. And so we just look forward to the continued things that will come out of this. We've talked about forming a clergy advisory board at the Freedom Center from this to integrate that faith-based perspective at the Freedom Center as well.
That's a great idea.
And so we're really looking forward to more work continuing to be done out of this. We're going to have some roundtables in the future in different parts of the community regarding issues in our community as well. So we're looking forward to the continued fruit to be born out of the 7 Words of Freedom.
Now tell us about Legacy Pointe Church, because I hear it's booming.
Well, we're working hard. We're working hard. Legacy Pointe Church, new church development here in Cincinnati. We officially opened last year, but we are located in the Kenwood area, 6280 Kugler Mill Road. We're right around the corner from Kenwood Mall. We're 20 minutes from almost any point in the city. We'd love to have you. We're a church that is pointing generations to the kingdom of God. We're a bridge building church. This is one of our citywide initiatives that we do. We want to be a bridge building agent in the city, and we have something for every person in the family. We love to have you on Sundays at 11 a.m.
So our editor and his wife have visited Legacy Point, and I haven't, but I'm going to. I said, I'm going to have to get out there, because I mean, I've heard you speak ever since you were, ever since you were with like Dr. Mims back at the Marva Collins School. But he said, he and his wife Kay said, like the service was just inspirational, like really, really fantastic.
Thank you so much.
So we encourage people to visit Legacy Point.
We love to have you. You can visit us online as well, legacypointchurch.com. That's Point with an E.
Okay, Point with an E. All right, so let's one more time go over 4th annual. Who's going to be there?
We have Dr. David Palmer of Kenwood Baptist, Pastor Damon Lynch Jr., Father Michael Brown, the president of Xavier University, Joe Urshan, First Apostolic Church, Elder Levant Daniel, Greater Emmanuel Apostolic Temple, Dale Aquabi, the associate pastor of People's Church, and Reverend M. Merritt Worthen, pastor of New Vision United. She's new to the city.
I'm really glad there's a woman in there.
Yes,
yeah, New Vision.
We can New Vision.
That
so we're
used to be my
excited
church.
to welcome Reverend Worthen to the city. Of course, we got to have the women represented. The women were the first to see the resurrected Lord.
All right.
So we
that's right.
We got to put the women out there. Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Yes. So it's April 11th.
April 11th. That's a Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. It's free and open to the public. At the Freedom Center, we have special musical guests this year, Speak Life, and also Classical Roots Choir.
Fantastic. It's open to the public.
Yes.
There's no charge. People need to come and get inspired.
Yes.
I love the fact that it's across denominational.
It's interdenominational, cross-cultural, and we want to unify the city leading up to Resurrection Sunday.
That's fantastic.
And beyond.
Thank you. Any phone number we should call, or do you want people just to come?
Just come. If you want more information, you can visit legacypointchurch.com, or you can also visit the Freedom Center's website. Okay. And you can also call the Freedom Center as well.
Okay, great. And we're going to have a little announcement in the Herald this week in case you want to see pictures of all the folks who are going to be there.
Definitely. It's going to be a dynamic year this year. I'm looking forward to it.
Anything Paul does is fantastic. So thank you, Paul. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me on today.
Stick with us. We'll be back in a moment to talk about slavery. Okay, welcome back. All right, we're going to talk about a topic that a lot of people just haven't thought about, or maybe they have now that the movie 13th has come out, Ava DuVernay's fantastic movie. But we're going to talk about slavery. It still exists. It's legal in the sense of punishment and imprisonment. So let me introduce both of you. So Canon Manoj Zacharia, so glad to have you here from Christ Church Cathedral.
Thank you.
And Dr. Adam Clark, thank you so much. As Dr. Marilyn Bates Mims said, you're the scholar, and you're both the scholars. You're both the scholars. So, let's just jump to it. Tell us about the 13th Amendment and how it still allows slavery. And people know, 1865 passed the 13th Amendment to abolish slavery, but now we're still talking about slavery. Mm-hmm. So tell us about that.
Do you want to start with those?
Go ahead.
Oh, well, the 13th Amendment, most people are familiar that the 13th Amendment outlaws slavery, but there's an exception clause in it. And it's except people who are convicted of crimes. So what that led to was convict laws that actually strip people of their right to vote, that strip people of public benefits, that strip people of, it creates a caste system that Michelle Alexander calls the new Jim Crow. So folks are effectively locked out of society because of these convict laws. So we've come together to try to think about strategies to really rethink how can we talk about imprisonment, mass incarceration in a different way? How can we reimagine what safety looks like, and how can we look for alternatives?
And let me throw out some numbers here. So I understand there are more than 2 million people in prison as we speak. 1 in 3 black men go to jail. But only 1 in 17 white men. And so people might say, well, are the black men committing more crimes? Some of it has to do with the laws. And one example given is powder cocaine, which apparently is used more by white men, has a much shorter sentence and a lesser penalty than crack cocaine, which is more prevalent in the black community. So because of those laws, there are more, when people are arrested for cocaine, there are more black men going to jail for that, because the laws are disparate in that sense.
Yes, there's great unequal enforcement.
And that's just one example.
Yeah, look, the problem of mass incarceration is so great. Michelle Alexander, who wrote The New Jim Crow, she talks about what's supposed to be a system of crime control is effectively a system of racial and social control. So what happens is that Black communities are targeted at a far greater degree for certain types of minor crimes and nonviolent crimes, so that there's more Black folks who are incarcerated in America than there were at the height of apartheid in South Africa.
Wow.
So it's an incredible disparity, and something needs to happen. The church is coming together to try to do something about that.
Right, okay. So that brings up the church. How did Christ Church Cathedral get involved? And Christ Church Cathedral, I should say, does a lot of social justice work.
Sure. I mean, so Christ Church Cathedral and the Bishop's Office of the Diocese of Southern Ohio commissioned the Organization on Procedural Justice, which Dr. Marilyn Bates Mims has led and continues to lead so effectively.
Right.
And the impetus for all of this was Marilyn's very, very strong work on racial profiling, which was commissioned by Bishop Thomas Breidenthal, the Episcopal Bishop for the Diocese of Southern Ohio. And in that work, what Marilyn really focused on was the issue of who benefits from unpaid labor. And that very question spiraled into further research, and it was a coming together, a synthesis of great thought. Right. And Michelle Alexander's work simultaneously got caught on fire, and this is how our focus really turned to the anti-mass incarceration effort.
That's what, and I see you have in your hand Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. Now, and Brian does a lot of, he spoke at the YWCA Racial Justice Breakfast a year ago. He was fantastic. But tell us about Brian and how all this comes into play.
Well, so for the church, there is a very, very theological reason why we are interested in this issue. Because we're called as Christians, the Episcopal Church is a Christian church. We affirm the tenets of faith. And one tenet that we make in our baptismal covenant is to affirm the dignity of each and every human being. And our work, which Brian Stevenson talks about, is about affirming the inherent dignity of each and every human being. And this is why we, as people of mercy, as people who have received the mercy of God in our lives, want to spread that mercy to all that we impact and affect.
I understand. Okay, so let me just take another step. A few weeks ago, there was a roundtable discussion that Dr. Marilyn Bates Mims organized, and there's a transcript from it. So tell us briefly about that and what's going to happen next. Oh, and here's a photo of it. I see Dr. Dillard there, and I know Rabbi Abby Ingber was there. So tell us all about, who was there and what was the purpose, and then what happened.
Well, I'll get into who was there, and then Adam, who was an actual participant of the roundtable, can get into the substance of it. Okay. So it was an interreligious and ecumenical effort. So we have Dr. Amina Darwish, who is the Muslim chaplain at UC, Rabbi Abby Ingber. We had legal scholars who Skyped in and participated in this scholarly roundtable to focus on various dimensions of the anti-mass incarceration movement, specifically focusing on the 13th Amendment. Okay. So we had the theological, the juridical, the sociological, the historical, all coming together for this wonderful roundtable, whose transcript we are going to make available very soon.
Oh, that's going to be wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful to read.
My own contribution focused on the theological, and I, raised the question: 2,000 years ago, Jesus was a poor person from the wrong side of the tracks who got incarcerated and given the death penalty. So why do so many people who bear his name are willing to do that for Black folks and people of color today?
Okay.
That is a real problem.
All
so
right.
to really think about that the church needs to mobilize if they worship an executed God, we need to think about the very foundations of empire that lead to mass incarcerations of people in unjust ways.
Okay. You know what? This is such an interesting discussion, and we're gonna have to bring both of you back, and especially when the transcript is ready, because I understand it's just getting it's about finished now, right?
Right.
Ready for publication. Right. So we're going to bring you back to talk more about this and about next steps, because I understand there's going to be kind of a mass movement, a grassroots movement, and also a legal team is coming together. So is there a number people should call? Should they call Christ Church Cathedral?
Absolutely. So if you're interested in the mobilization effort.
Right.
So we began with the conscientization effort.
Okay.
Now we're beginning to mobilize.
Okay,
you can call 513-621-1817.
Thank you, 621. I'm sorry, Canon and Manoj, we just had to move along. Okay, 513-621-1817 to get more information about next steps, that legal team that's coming together, and the transcript. Thank you both, Dr. Clark, Reverend Zacharia. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stick with us. We'll be back in a moment to talk about immigration.
All right.
Well, I'm so excited to have two members of the Women's City Club. Such great work they do, and they're bringing this fantastic author here. So let me introduce you to Carole Donnelly and Alice Schneider. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
So I know your speaker series is always packed, jam-packed.
That's true.
And so people need to really make sure they reserve early.
That would be good. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's, before we talk about the speaker, who's really going to be exciting, give us a history, like real briefly, of the Women's City Club.
Okay.
Okay, I'm president of Women's City Club
Wonderful.
currently.
Oh, you're the current president. Oh, wonderful. That's great.
So, Women's City Club has an impressive history. We've been around since 1915, before women got the vote.
Right.
And
5 years before women got the vote, Women's City Club was already out there moving and shaking.
Right.
That's good.
And they wanted to, back then, they wanted to be involved in the life of the city and to do something for the community. And we continue that work to this day. We are involved in the community, and we have educational forums and discussions that work to improve our community.
That is wonderful.
And this particular one is going to be on immigration, but we've done other things on racial justice and environment. So we do want to get women and men. We do have men members too.
Good.
And
Great.
we do want to get, we educate women and men about the issues, and then we try, hopefully they will get engaged and involved in the community and try to influence, either take the action themselves. Actually, that's how I got
really? Okay.
on campaign finance reform back when I first joined, and got my job through Women's City Club.
Wow.
But we try to get people involved to influence. If you can't do the action directly yourself, then try to influence those who can make it happen.
Right.
So that's what we're all about.
And I love that. And just being educated about what's going on is so important. And you bring in all these wonderful speakers. So let's hear about Maria Hinojosa.
Maria Hinojosa. We're so excited to be having her. We just feel so fortunate that we're able to get her. She is an award-winning Latino journalist, and she's on NPR and WCET. And she speaks about immigration and the Latino experience, and, well, particularly immigration and the issues that Latinos face. And
this is such a hot topic.
It's such a hot topic. And we'll talk about the political landscape and the changing demographics in our country. She is, as I said, she's won many awards for her journalistic productions. And she will be, can I speak about, she will be coming here on April 20th, 2 weeks from Thursday. And it will be at the Netherland Hilton at the Hall of Mirrors. So we feel thrilled that we were able to get that again. And tickets are still available. And as you said, it's been quite popular because of the topic. And because of her as well, but
Okay, so where do people go for tickets?
Okay, you can go for tickets by calling Women's City Club at 513.
Oh, I thought we had, okay.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry too, Carole, because I thought the number was here, but this is the information.
That's the information.
So give us that first, and then we'll get to the number.
So it is, again, April 20th at 7 p.m. in the Hall of Mirrors, and it's 35 West 5th Street downtown. You can get tickets by calling Woman City Club at 513-751-0100 or online at Woman City Club, that's A-N, woman with an S, but A, cityclub.org, and you can order your tickets online, and they're $40. You can also get tickets at the door that night, if they're still available, which, you know.
Yeah, people shouldn't wait. If something happens and they end up waiting, they can come to the door anyway, but it's better in advance. So give us that phone number one more time, Jeff said.
513-751-0100.
Okay, and that's for Thursday, April 20th.
Correct.
So now, so is the speaker going to talk about like the whole, you know, this administration has had executive orders for stopping people at the borders, and you know this whole issue about building a wall. So are all these things up for discussion?
They are up for discussion, and she will speak for about 45 minutes to an hour, and yes, she will cover much as she can in that hour on those topics and everything related to immigration and the wall and all that, but particularly Latino immigration. There will then be an opportunity for questions from the floor.
Wonderful.
So that has always worked out to bring forth what people are really interested in hearing about. So
and I really love that, because I've been to speaker series before, and it's so wonderful because you know usually you're sitting there and you're like just bubbling over with questions, and you have a chance to get up and actually ask the author, ask these these famous
very
experts,
prominent people,
right? Very prominent people is a good way of putting it.
Yes.
And so, in having this whole discussion with them that normally we would never get to do.
That's right.
So that's really wonderful.
That's been a very popular part of our forum. Yeah, every year.
And I'd like to add to this, we're not going to stop there. Hopefully she will inspire us to action, but we will not stop there. We will have a follow-up discussion on Wednesday, May 10th. What do we need to know about refugees and immigrants in Cincinnati and how we can help?
Wonderful.
So we will continue with that
Okay, and we will give you more information about that. But Thursday, April 20th at the Netherland at 7
o'clock. 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Get your tickets early. Okay,
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming, both of you. We'll be back in just a moment with some community events. Some great events. The 7th Annual Homeowner Fair, Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority. It's Saturday, April 22nd, 9 to 1 at the Section 8 office, 1635 Western Avenue. It's free. Call 721-4580. And Lyrical Lounge, Tuesday, April 24th, 5 to 7:30 p.m. Pleasant Ridge Library, 6233 Montgomery Road. Don't miss that. And the 13th Annual Circle of Care, Thursday, April 27th, 6 p.m. at Twin Towers, 5343 Hamilton Avenue. Tickets are only $50. Call 300-4939. All those great things. Don't forget the Cincinnati Herald's Bright Awards, May 12th. And I want you to see our intern here, Nathaniel Livingston, just started with us. He's going to walk on with Jeff at the end. So just so you know who he is, have a great week. Stay safe and stay positive.